Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gann, alongside my partner, Jack Nicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you don't have the chance, go check out our website at justsayingfootball.com and follow us on Instagram at Just Saying No GWJS for article and video updates. Jack, it is the week of the Super Bowl. It is Monday. It is great. Before we can even talk about the Super Bowl, something happens before. And since February 10th, when the NFL awards show, the NFL honor show happens. We just want to give our picks for the Just Saying Awards show in 2021 season. So let's just jump right into it, buddy, with the comeback player of the year. Who do you think is going to be this year's comeback player of the year?
Yeah, I mean there were a lot of candidates this year for this award. Definitely, we saw 2020 was definitely one of the higher injury league years that we've had in a while, and especially lower leg injuries, knee injuries. We saw Saquon Barkley, CMC, big names like that. But on the defensive side, Nick Bosa, huge, number 2 overall pick just a couple of years ago, brought the Niners to the Super Bowl in the first season. Was injured last year and came back this year, and for me was one of the most impactful comeback player of the year candidates. He's my pick. After 5 forced fumbles, 5 multi-sack games, 23 tackles for loss. You come back from an ACL, you get 15 and a half sacks. You're a special player. For me, especially with the highly competitive NFC, how the Niners were up and down this year, you got to give a shout out to him and how he was able to help anchor this defense and come back. He didn't even look like he was coming off a torn ACL. He is absolutely my pick for this. There are a lot of great candidates. Got to give them shout outs, but not until you make your pick, Chauncey. Who you looking for as your comeback player of the year?
Look, I'm looking at the quarterback position. I'm going with the quarterback who's in the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, man. He tore his ACL. Yeah, Joey P. Look, Nick Bosa, excellent season. You're absolutely right. We don't give enough attention to the defensive players. And this could honestly even go to Dak Prescott coming off of a massive ankle injury last season against your Giants. But look, Burrow this season, 11-5 with the team. Had 37-10 touchdown to interception ratio, 4,449 yards, 68% of his passes were completed. He's the first player in NFL history, actually, that's drafted over number 1 overall and then to make it into the Super Bowl by his second season. Wow. Breaking records everywhere. I just think you're coming off of a season like that where they were in the bottom of the AFC North, a tough division with the Browns this season, with the Ravens, and of course with the Steelers. They're 4-11-1. We had talked about Zach Taylor being on the hot seat, that a lot of people were not loving the pick of Jamar Chase so early in the draft.
I love that though.
And here they are in the Super Bowl. He had a great season. I'm sticking with the quarterback. And also when you're a year 2 quarterback able to do this stuff, that's
oh my God, yeah.
That's really impressive. We're lucky for the future.
Oh man. No, and being in the Super Bowl ups your stock.
Oh yeah, took Matthew Stafford a while, but moving on. We have the coach of the year. A lot of great coaches this year. A lot of teams, a lot of things happening with teams this season. Who's your pick for coach of the year?
Yeah, coach of the year. It's, as you mentioned, this was a year of kind of unexpected things. I thought Zach Taylor was going to be in the hot seat. Now he's in the Super Bowl. One guy that, is my pick here is going to be Kyle Shanahan. I mean, the Niners, definitely a lot of questions coming into this year. You trade your first round picks for the next 3 years for a quarterback that you don't even use. Everyone was kind of scratching their heads with that one. But, with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm, a guy that, we doubt and never really know what his performance is going to look like. You look at this coaching scheme, the running backs, making Elijah Mitchell a 6th round pick, having the year he had, the stretch that they made after starting 2-4, they finished the season 12-8 and, they had big wins this year, against, a lot of playoff teams like Dallas, Green Bay, Tennessee, Cincinnati, and after making that huge stretch, seeing what they were able to do despite the injuries, despite not having a run game for the first couple of weeks there, losing Raheem Mostert, who we thought was going to have a huge season, and just, being able to produce a top 10 offense. We saw what he was able to do with Debo this year. A lot of arguments for me there, but, just a well-rounded team, made the playoffs this year, very unexpected, had a slow start, and he was able to coach them back to where they needed to be. There are a lot of great coaches, as I said, but Kyle Shanahan's going to be my pick here. What about you, Chauncey?
Look, I love it. There's a lot of great coaches this season. Not our coaches, obviously. They got fired.
Both of us.
Yeah, both of us.
Spoiler alert, neither of our coaches are going to be this pick.
No, they will not. They did not retain their jobs. Not good seasons. Missed the playoffs. But I'm going with Mike Vrabel. Look, Derrick Henry goes down in week 8, already had 937 yards, was on pace for well over 2,000. It was looking like. You lose a guy like that, who's offensive player of the year, MVP caliber running back. You begin to question where are the Titans going to be this season, and they fought tooth and nail in every single game until the very end. They got the number 1 seed over the guys like Cincinnati, like the guys like Buffalo, the teams like Kansas City. It didn't pan out for them in the end run, but I thought their overall season was fantastic. And on top of that, you had AJ Brown in and out of injury, going on the short-term IR. Julio Jones in and out of injury, continue going on the IR and off. It was brutal for this offense, and they were able to make it work. At one point, they had Jeremy McNichols running the ball, Dondre Hilliard, Deontay Freeman, Adrian Peterson even at one point scored a touchdown with them. Chester Rogers and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, who had the second most receiving yards, had to step up. These guys, names you don't talk about. These are not household names. Not the AJ Browns, the Julio Jones. Yeah. They stepped up and they found a way. And Mike Vrabel is the leader of that as the head coach. And I'm really just impressed with that season. I think the second that Derrick Henry went out, everyone was like, all right, there goes the Titans season. Yeah. And they played great. Look, the playoffs, that wasn't what we wanted to see. That was a tough place. But leading up to that was beautiful, and it was a thing of magic. And I don't think that we should forget that. Now, we gotta keep moving this along, everyone. Now, this is I think one of the more obvious ones for this one. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jack. I'm just gonna let you kick it off. It's pretty obvious, I think.
Man, not to say we think it's obvious, but Vegas definitely thinks it's obvious right now. Coming in at minus 10,000 odds with only 2 nominees for this award in the NFL. Micah Parsons, man, what a season. As somebody who's on the Giants who wanted him in the draft, you understand just, how powerful of a force this guy is. You're a middle linebacker. DeMarcus Lawrence goes out. You go on a pass rush. You get 3 sacks in a game. You got 13 sacks in the year. I mean, how in the world are people going to be able to stop this guy in the future? He looks like a 10-year pro. I mean, he has to be able to just run away with this award, right?
No, I don't think that there's anyone else. Like you said, 13 sacks is enough when you're coming from the linebacking position. If you watch his game film, if you watch those games, he's just blowing up every single place, constantly around the ball. First team All-Pro nods in his rookie season, made the Pro Bowl this season. Just absolutely stellar. I don't know if there were many linebackers playing better than him, let alone rookies. I don't think this one is really a debate at all for defensive rookie of the year, which leads us into our next one that I think is not really also that much of a competition when you go on the flip with the offensive rookie of the year. And I'll just start with this one. It's got to be Ja'Marr Chase. I was rooting for his running mate last year, Justin Jefferson, when he set the record for most receiving yards in a single season by a rookie. And then Ja'Marr Chase rolls around and breaks his record by like 150 yards, put on a 266-yard performance in the end. He's been an absolute beast this entire season. He's really just been, to me, one of the best running backs. He's already had 2 200-yard receiving games in his rookie season. And I did think for a while this could have gone to Mac Jones, just to give a shout out to him. But I felt like the last 5 or 6 games of the season, you really saw him begin to struggle a little bit more with the pace of the game and the length of the season, all of these kinds of things. And that happened. So I think you got to lean Ja'Marr Chase. Just been an absolute maniac this season. By far one of the top 5 wide receivers this season. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And, we talked about your guy, JJ, how he has transformed in year 2. I can't wait for Ja'Marr Chase year 2. I can't wait to see Ja'Marr Chase this week in the Super Bowl. But his direct effect on these wins, the Bengals being unable to beat the Ravens in the last couple of years. And then they come in this year and they dominate them in both games. And you look at Joe Burrow's stat line in both those games. He has over 400 yards. Ja'Marr has over, as you mentioned, the 266 performance before at the end of the season, plus another 150. It's an incredible thing what we saw from him this year. He is who we thought he was when he came into the draft, just a polished receiver. And, he said he was coming for every award and every record, and he's taken all the records, and now it's time for him to take the award.
Yep. Get that award on Thursday. Definitely enjoy it before the Super Bowl. I think he's going to win it for sure. Moving on, we have the Defensive Player of the Year. Jack, kick this one off for us. Who you got?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's somebody that, I'm going to let Sean go in on this, man, because he was very upset last year when, this player was snubbed for Aaron Donald, who we have a lot of respect for. But, man, when you break the season record, what do how do you argue against that? I know we have the 18th week to get it. We've talked about this, but the fact that he got it and the fact that he won so many games, crucial moments. We saw that Browns game they had to win at the end of the season, and it's all TJ Watt.
Yep.
How does it happen, man?
TJ Watt ties the record that your own Michael Strahan got with 22.5 sacks this season. It was 18 games, yes, but let's just enjoy the moment, guys.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, come on. There's no need for this right now. He was also first in tackles for loss with 21. I thought that he was snubbed last season. He led in all these categories last season. Look, Aaron Donald, great player, absolutely deserving the Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, always a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Not take away from that. I just felt like TJ Watt last season and this season, just playing at an elite level on the edge position. He's a menace on the edge. He just absolutely disrupts. He gets after the quarterback. If you watch the Pro Bowl, Kirk Cousins, little quick fumble off there. Like, even when he's not trying, he's getting sacks and fumbles. This is just what he does. I think you got to give it to him this season after tying the record at 22.5 sacks. That doesn't happen. The last person to come close was Jared Allen a few years back. So it's hard to do this, and you got to give it to him.
And he's got an insane stat line this year, as you mentioned. Just leading the league in tackle for losses. Third and fourth fumbles. He had 64. Total tackles. I mean, he didn't play the full season due to injury, and he still came up with an impressive stat line. They made the playoffs. I think that's a huge factor of it, and he's going to run away with it. But now for some awards that maybe we don't agree on.
Finally,
Sean, who is your offensive player of the year? Give it to us.
All right. I really wanted to go Jonathan Taylor because I'm a big running back guy, obviously, as are you, wearing your Saquon Barkley. But that being said, Cooper Kupp, the season was 16 yards away from Calvin Johnson's record. 145 receptions, 1,947 yards, averaging 114.5 yards per game to go along with 16 touchdowns. This close. If the season was still 16 seasons, that's a touchdown a game, my friend, which is a fantastic stat line to have. He won the wide receiver triple crown, which is most receptions, most yards, and most touchdowns all in the same season. There was no one coming close to the pace that he was putting on. You could see it that he was an absolute oh God, I lost the train of thought. I heard my dogs bark. But he was what made this offense move.
Yeah.
He was Matthew Stafford's go-to guy. Matthew Stafford always looked his way, even in games when you didn't think he was going to find ways, because that first half was slow. In the second half, he always stepped up. He continues to show this in the playoffs as Matthew Stafford's go-to guy. He finds these holes in the defense that you just couldn't imagine are possibly there when you're looking at the film. I just think that he had one of those seasons that's just insane. You just don't see these record-breaking seasons, especially this close to Calvin Johnson. This is almost 2,000 yards. And if you include the playoffs right now, which he has 360 yards in through 3 games, which is 120 yards a game.
Yeah.
That's well over 2,000 yards in a single season, including playoffs. He's broken that record as well. I just think that when you include the playoffs and you're looking at what he did during the regular season, I just think it was really impressive. That being said, I know you got to get. I know you disagree, and I feel like I put so much. I don't mean to put any disrespect on Jonathan Taylor's name.
Yeah, no disrespect. I mean, both of these guys are tied right now as the favorites for this award. I mean, both of them, as you mentioned, when it comes to leading in your category, in your position, both of these guys were prime examples of that this year. And, Jonathan Taylor, he played all 17 games. He led the league in almost every single important category. He had the most rushes. He had 322 carries, which was, most by anybody. And only to, Najee Harris, had 15 carries less than him. He had 500 yards more on the ground than any other running back to me. He had the longest rush. He had 14 plays of 20 yards. He had 5.5 a carry. And top that off, he had 18 rushing touchdowns. And for me, him and Kupp, what they did this season, we're going to remember this season for both of them. For me, what Jonathan Taylor did, I got both these guys on a fantasy team. Love them both. But what Jonathan Taylor did this year at the running back position was special. He saw that King Henry was gone. He said, I'm going for that rushing title, and he ran away with it. I think he runs away with this award as well.
I love it. Look, there's no wrong choice. I think in this one, there were no two better non-quarterback players than these guys.
Absolutely.
It was them, and then everyone else. They had these seasons that, like you said, you just are not going to forget. These are two very memorable seasons that are going to be there for some time. And moving on to the favorite award that everyone wants to know about, the most valuable player of 2021, Jack. Now we do defer on this one. I want you to go first. Who's going to be your 2021 MVP?
Yeah, I mean, this was a tough one, right? We're looking at it. We know the MVP, they love to give it to the quarterbacks, and two of the best of all time were, definitely nominees for me. I'm going with Aaron Rodgers here. Almost 70% completion, 4,100 yards, a 37-4 touchdown interception ratio, 3 more rushing touchdowns to go along with that. After the first week of the season, I was totally doubting Rodgers like everybody else was, but he after 2 interceptions in that game, he only had 2 more for the rest of the season. In the whole 15 games, he had 6 games with 3+ touchdowns. This was the 5th most of his career when it came to, passing touchdowns, best record in the NFC. And he was 5-1 versus playoff teams this year, 4-2 versus divisional opponents. I think that, even despite everyone saying, oh, he played through the injury, I do believe Aaron Rodgers could go back-to-back with MVPs.
It would not surprise me if they went that way at all. It's going to be even more interesting if he wins that, and then with this offseason we'll bring article coming later.
Pete the set for updates.
Yeah, Pete the set for updates. But that being said, I gotta defer for you. I'm going with the GOAT, Tom Brady. And look, I think one thing that we should preface this with is when that AP voter came out and kind of said, I'm not voting for Aaron Rodgers because the whole vaccination thing, that created a huge ripple effect in my eyes, which is number one, if you don't pick Aaron Rodgers because you're not picking because of personal reasons, and if you're picking for someone else, you're not picking someone because of personal reasons. So it's not going to be fun. So let's just enjoy this award, not even worry about that at all. I just feel like that needs to be mentioned. But I'm going with Tom Brady. He led the league in most passing yards per games, passing touchdowns. Threw for almost 1,200 yards more than Aaron Rodgers this season. Also threw for 6 more touchdowns. Granted, he did throw for a handful more interceptions than him. Brady did throw 12 interceptions. He also had two rushing touchdowns. Always fun to see Tom Brady run in the end zone. No AB at one point. Chris Godwin goes down at one point. A horrendous secondary. I will admit that secondary was bleeding points. Rodgers had a much better defense. They still make the playoffs. They win their division. They're the second best record in the NFC. And he's doing this all at 44 years old.
Yeah.
You're just not. There will never be a season in which I believe this. There will never be a season in which we see a 44-year-old quarterback complete 67.5 of his passes, go for 5,316 yards to go along with a 43-12 touchdown to interception ratio, and then tack on the 2 rushing touchdowns, bringing his touchdown total to 45 on the season. That is incredible. That is one of the best seasons. You talk about people who throw, when you throw for 45 plus touchdowns, you're having a great season. I just think at 44 years old, Tom Brady didn't get the championship, but I feel like he's going to walk away with the MVP award one more time. Like he's not walking away from the NFL without an award. All right. He just retired. That's not going to happen. It's going to be in the form of a nice little MVP trophy in front of Aaron Rodgers' face.
Give a little speech.
Thank you for his retirement. It'll be like the largest standing ovation we've ever seen in the history of the NFL awards for sure. But those are our picks. And he does deserve it. Aaron Rodgers deserves it too. And again, if he wins it, he'll make a really, really great talking point as he heads into the offseason.
Yeah, true.
With his future. But that being said, those are our awards picks. I think we're gonna get a lot right. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be a little confident here towards the end. I think I like our picks, man. I like our picks. Mine more than yours.
Swept up last year. We had to give him some easy
ones, simple and easy. I like mine more than yours, we'll be honest. But that's all the time that we have. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you guys for checking this out. Enjoy this award show. Keep an eye out for the Super Bowl show coming out later this week. Keep an eye out for Sean's articles. Got a couple articles dropping this week as well. JustSayingFootball.com, Just Saying Football on YouTube, and Just Saying No GWJS on Instagram for all the article and video updates. Thank you guys for checking us out. Enjoy the game.
Enjoy.